Madam Co-Chair, members of the committee, my name is John Sajo. I'm the director of the Umpqua Cannabis Association, proud father of a drug-free honor student. And I want to thank Senator Brzezinski for taking my 14-year-old son on as an intern to learn about government here in the Capitol today, so that's very exciting. Follow up on what some other people have said, and there's been a lot of discussion in this committee about creating an industry based on small business and family farms and moving the existing growers into the legal market. And I just want to say, from my perspective, it's not happening. There's 47,000 growers licensed under the medical program, and about 250 applied for the OLCC. That's less than 0.5%. In Douglas County, there's 1,700 growers, 0 have applied for OLCC licenses, and that even though it's opted out in the county, most of the cities in Douglas County did not opt out. I served on the Rules Advisory Committee to the OLCC Grower Subcommittee. None of the outdoor growers that served on that Rules Advisory Committee are able to get an OLCC license. There's too much regulation. It's too expensive. What you're doing, you know, another thing I'd say, step back and look. We have early sales now, brilliant idea. You heard testimony last session that the current growers produce maybe 5 times what the whole state needs. The current medical growers are easily supplying the entire rec market. We don't need out-of-state businesses and investors. You just need to let the current small medical marijuana farmers do what they do. We can increase our businesses by pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps if you remove some of these bureaucratic obstacles and hurdles that are keeping people out. Otherwise, I think you will run afoul of the Cole memo, because what you're doing is pushing out the existing small farmers, and they're mostly going to go back into the black market, and creating a new system of millionaire farms. I estimate for myself, because I've looked around, do I go to a different county? You know, what about the water rights? It looks like for me to get an OLCC license and do the tier 2 farm I'd like to do would cost me something on the order of $1 million. I don't have it. Neither do the other farmers. So I think we have a serious issue with the scale of what's happening here, and we're missing the people that are doing it now, and it's proved by the last 4 months of successful early sales without problem, without supply issues. A lot of other things. I think one way to address that, the big entities have all the edge here. I encourage you to look again at some kind of tax on big business that maybe doesn't start till gross revenues exceed $1 million, but make the big entities pay more, or this industry is going to end up with Walmart controlling it, and we're all going to wish it hadn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would like to go next? Question for the panel from Senator Ferrioli. So if folks who were just
actually
here,
it's for Mr. Sajo.
Okay, it's for Mr. Sajo. Thank you, everybody else.
First of all, thanks for your testimony. I really appreciate what I hear as clarity and honesty in your testimony. Also because you appreciate the early start, which I thought was brilliant as well. If Oregon medical producers are producing 5 times as much cannabis is being consumed by the recreational market, I have a problem getting my mind around the idea that have heard testified to in previous hearings, there's really no leakage from the medical system. Those don't comport. The other issue is it seems like most of the medical producers do not want to engage in the seed-to-sale tracking system. They're resisting it. So, you know, if I've got 5 times the volume being produced by folks who want to participate in this industry in Oregon, and some folks are saying there's no leakage. Of course, that's impossible with the volumes that are being produced. The whole point of getting folks access to the surplus sales into the recreational market was to help them pay for the seed-to-sale tracking and the security systems. So I think what I'm going to ask for, Madam Chair, is rather than a question, somebody's going to have to convene a group of people who will start dealing with these issues in a more forthright manner. There's a lot of production going on. There's a lot of black market supply going on in the medical side. And if folks want to make that comport with the Cole Memorandum, which is a requirement for us to have any kind of a program, they're going to have to do some tracking. They're going to have to submit to some inspections and some requirements. I guess my question after all that is there a group out there that should be asked to convene a discussion, wide-ranging, not necessarily involving legislators, that can deal with those issues? The volume being produced, the leakage being documented occasionally, and the tracking that it would be necessary, access to the recreational market, and the regulations that would be deemed to be reasonable by the medical growers. If we can't answer all those questions, then, we probably won't be doing very much in this short legislative session except chasing information that doesn't seem to exist. That's my question, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Madam Co-Chair, Senator Ferrielli, members of the committee, I guess what I'd say is this. I think we all were pretty scared about the idea of tracking at the beginning, and I remain a skeptic that it will. I think people can beat most systems, and I provided testimony last session about multiple ways people can beat almost any system, including bribing OLCC people and hacking the computer systems and so forth. I think people really just need time to adjust, and since that time, a lot of the other aspects of the bureaucratic, the regulatory burden have proved to be much more significant. For myself, I live in a county that has opted out. I think you need to consider grandfathering in the people that are currently supplying the system. If you shut them out and then add, these expensive new farms, you're just exacerbating the black market issue because you're increasing the supply. So I think people just need, a transition period with the tracking, and if you want to eliminate the black market, you have to allow the OLCC to buy all the marijuana they can get their hands on. I mean, frankly, I think you ought to consider having them buy it from the 4 plant people that have excess, because otherwise somebody has 4 plants and has a few extra pounds, it's illegal for them to sell it, it's illegal for them to possess it. They kind of, it seems to me there's a lot of things that could be looked at.
Madam Chairman, I asked the OLCC for a list of barriers to the acquisition from all sources. What's the problem with co-location? What's the problem with acquiring supply from whatever source? I never got a response from them. I got an apology, but I never got a response. It sounds to me like you've made a suggestion that would be tremendously valuable, not only in terms of maybe giving people more time to adapt, but maybe just compelling the OLCC to access supply wherever they can find it, whether it's a medical grower or a recreational grower. It just seems to me that there's never been a more complicated public policy issue to come before me in 20 years. So you have to understand, we don't know the answers to the problems you're facing. We're exploring the solutions. You're providing inputs so we can get the solutions. But I really appreciate the suggestions that I heard here from you today. One of them I think we really need to look at.
Thank you. Senator Przanski.
So, in following up with Senator Ferrioli, one of the things that's been surprising to me is that all of the testimony we've had, John, in the past regarding how much marijuana supposedly is growing here, how much we actually need for the market. I understand there's a lot of people who are now looking at removing all the residency requirements. And the one that I think that we really should be focused on maintaining is the one on the growers. And allowing the growers now, they already have enough abundancy here. If we maintain the residency requirement for up till 2020, it will give that transition. It will, in fact, allow for those. And why are we asking people to come in and grow more in this state if we already have it? And if we really need to take care of outside interest coming in, we could set up a special license, a vertical type license that allows them to grow for their own operation, but they can't flood the market. That's the issues that I keep on hearing from the small growers, is that they're just going to be flooded, saturated out because of what's going to happen with the outside money influence.
Okay, I think we have time. This room is going to be used at 3 for the Judiciary Committee, so we have time, I think, for one more panel again.